Welcome back to Mac Movie Review. Today we're looking at a very special show that I just finished on Amazon Prime Video. You may have heard of it. It's called The Boys. Season 2 ended earlier in 2020, a couple months ago, and I just now finished the entire show, finished Season 2, and I would just like to tell you what I think about the show, basically just give it a review. I may include spoilers. There may be spoilers. I don't know. So, be warned if I accidentally let something slip. I'm not trying to be explicitly non-spoiler, but I might not say any spoilers. You know, whatever. Here we go. What are my thoughts on The Boys? First and foremost, looking at this from a critical perspective, the production value of The Boys is really, really good. I dare say maybe the best of all of the live-action superhero shows. And I'm not a huge fan of I'm not a huge fan of television in general, but I haven't seen that many live-action television shows, superhero shows, but the ones I've seen are significantly worse in terms of production value, in terms of like acting, in terms of just the visual quality and the action scenes and just how well everything looks and how high quality everything is. I'm comparing this to shows like The Boys and The Tick. I think that those are the only ones I can think of on the top of my head. Haven't really watched all the Marvel ones. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I guess, if that counts. Anyway, this show looks great, it sounds great, the music is great, the visuals are great, the acting is great. Just on a technical level, very good. 2 thumbs up. It looks great, it sounds great. It's very high quality show, very high quality production. Next, I would like to talk about the characters. I think the characters in The Boys are really, really strong. I think this is a really huge draw towards the show, is just seeing these characters, and really, the characters themselves don't change that much, I noticed while you're watching it. It's not that kind of character development. Most of the characters seem kind of static. It's mostly not the characters changing, but you learning more about the characters. And learning why they act the way they do, why they hate these certain things, why they like these certain things. And it's really just this process of unraveling the layers of the characters and learning why they do and act and say the things that they do. And just you learning what makes these characters tick. And just it peeling back the layers in each and every episode of these very numerous characters. There's a lot of different characters that get a lot of screen time in this show. Despite only having 8 episodes each season, each episode being an hour long, it really just, the camera constantly hops from different characters, and sometimes we see them changing in the case of Jack, and in the case of Butcher, in the case of Starfire, and sometimes we're just getting to see what they're up to and why they're doing this certain thing. We're learning more about them. In Season 2, we're learning more about Stormfront as it goes. We're learning more about Homelander. And Homelander's another character that's very, very interesting as this kind of hero who's actually a villain. And I think they play that trope, if that is I guess that's a trope. I don't know. They play that very well, I would say, with his character. And he really is a very interesting character. And it's interesting to see his weaknesses. He's so strong, but this guy has some problems, and he's got some obsessions, and he's got some things that kind of hurt him, some connections that harm him. And it's really interesting just to see everything unfold and learn more about these characters. And yeah, that's a huge draw for the show. The plot of the show, on the other hand, while the characters I think are really good, isn't great. The plot, for the most part, I mean, there is an aspect of the plot that I think is really good, in that you want to keep watching, not just for the characters, but because the plot constantly has these new developments and new twists, but nothing is that crazy to me, or that great, for the most part. It's mostly, the plot is fairly simple. It's basically just a revenge story. Is really what's going on, is, oh, this character doesn't like this character, and that's the driving force. Huey's girlfriend got killed, which isn't really a spoiler, because that happens in the first 10 minutes of the first episode. But Huey's girlfriend gets killed. Huey mad. Huey gonna fight, because he's mad. Starfire is mad, at some things. She has multiple people to be mad at for good reason. But she's mad. She wants to get back at him. Butcher is mad. He wants revenge on Homelander. And it's a lot of that. It's a lot of vengeance. It's a lot of revenge, which I don't think is that original. It's not that special. It's not that interesting in terms of plot. And that really is the driving force in the plot. And like I said, I think everything is carried out with very good visuals and very high quality. But I think the plot itself, when you really look at it, is fairly bare bones, is fairly not that special, not that original. As groundbreaking and revolutionary as a lot of people say the show is, I don't think the plot could be described as that. Now, the concept of the show, on the other hand, this kind of show has not been done. From what I've seen, I have not seen a superhero show that is this dark, that is this R-rated, that is this negative in its view of heroes. And that is another huge appeal for The Boys, is its take on superheroes. Because superheroes is the most oversaturated genre in terms of TV shows, in terms of movies. I mean, honestly, I like Marvel movies because I think they're pretty good. I don't love them because I'm a huge superhero nerd or geek. I don't love it because it's superheroes. I like it because they're quality movies. I think DC movies are trash. I don't read comic books. With one exception, the Scott Pilgrim books, but that's not a superhero show, or not a superhero comic, so whatever. But anyway, I think the concept of the show, this very dark and cynical take on superheroes and showing how commercial everything is, how it's all about money, how it's all about making a product, how it's all about media representation and how it looks. I think all of that is really cool and really good and really special and different. It's different, which is what's important. It's original. It's special. It's unique. And that's what we need in shows. We need something new, and especially in this genre, we need something if we're going to do something with superheroes, make it something new, which is funny. This is kind of a rant. This is just kind of a side thing. But the characters and the superheroes, in terms of the actual superpowers, are literally just all ripoffs of other superheroes. So, specifically DC heroes. So, like, Homelander is literally just Superman, but kind of with a Captain America kind of twist. But he's really just Superman. But, you know, they're all terrible. They're all trashy, terrible people. You know, he's like Superman. Black Noir is kind of like Deadpool, I guess. Kind of a mercenary, or Deathstroke, if you want to stick with DC. Queen Maeve is just Wonder Woman. She's literally just Wonder Woman. Starfire is just your typical energy-based hero who uses those kind of powers, you know, electrical powers. Uses energy super, like the Teen Titans Go character, the Teen Titans character. Their names are even similar. Stormfront is just Storm, another DC character. I mean, the A-Train is literally Flash. I mean, who am I missing? Translucent just turns invisible. I can't think of any superheroes where that's their main thing, because that's kind of boring, but that's kind of the point. The Deep is just Aquaman. So actually, I didn't realize this. They're all DC characters. But that's part of what adds to the show, and how it's kind of a satire, how it's kind of mocking superheroes while also being a superhero show. Is it really just focuses, there aren't really any villains other than the actual heroes themselves, who are portrayed as the heroes are actually the villains, specifically Homelander. But yeah, that was a rant. I kind of went on kind of long, but it's pretty cool. Lastly, I would like to focus on the writing, which I think is both good and bad, depending. I mean, there's elements of the writing that are good. There's some good comedy. There's some legitimately funny moments in this. There's some legitimately sharp writing when it comes to how it makes fun of political correctness culture. And it's so funny that this can be made by Amazon, of all people. Amazon, the biggest company in the world, making this much fun of political correctness and like wokeness and stuff. I mean, some of it actually is woke and some of it is political correctness, but they also straight up just like make fun of it in like the funniest way possible. So there's some really sharp, funny writing. Then again, with the MA rating, it's kind of over the top in terms of the bad language and just the angsty language. It's a huge problem with another MA-rated show that's really just over the top on the MA rating, and that is Love, Death Plus Robots. That show is, the writing in that show is horrible. The dialogue is horrible because of it trying to be as angsty as possible. And that is the same thing with this. Not as aggravating as Love, Death Plus Robots, but it is kind of bad in a lot of places, especially with Huey's interactions with Starfire, when they're just like on dates and stuff. The stuff that comes out of his mouth a lot of the time, some of it's really good and, you know, heartfelt and stuff, and some of it is just so, man. Okay, but here's another thing. This is a side. With Butcher, Billy Butcher, the over-the-top cursing and dialogue and angsty talking works perfectly with his character, because he is like a very over-the-top character. He's the best character in the show. And he has a lot of depth and a lot of background information, a lot of layers that are peeled and unfolded as the show progresses. But it works very well for him, the very over-the-top language and stuff. But overall, it's kind of over the top in a bad way. It just works really well for that character, I would say. Yeah, those are my thoughts. Honestly, in terms of the plot, I'm really not that impressed with The Boys. It's really not that impressive from a story standpoint. But I do think it is worth watching. It's totally worth watching because of the characters, because of the production value. It's just a really high quality. It is very interesting. It really is very engaging. You want to keep watching. Not primarily for the story, even though that does have things and gimmicks that keep you wanting to watch more, but because of everything else. It really is a really good show, and I'm going to give it 4 stars out of 5 if I had to give it a rating. What do you think of The Boys? Who's your favorite character? Who's your least favorite character? That's a good one. I'm sorry, I keep hearing something. I think Butcher's the best, definitely. Homelander's another great character. Both of those characters have a lot of layers of depth. As far as my least favorite character, it's kind of frustrating the lack of work they do with Black Noir. I can't say his last name. And that's kind of the point, is like, the heroes themselves are kind of shallow in terms of their like powers, and because that's not the point of the show. It's really a deconstruction and parody of it, so that's not the focus. Is look at what they do as a hero, even though, you know, that's what people love, is like, oh man, it's a hero, look what do they do, I want to see their powers, I want to see what they do in action and blah 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 blah. That's not what this is. But it's kind of frustrating the lack that he is in the show. I feel like they should like play up him, the mysterious element of the character, and they actually do more work with him in season 2. I'll say it's better that he gets more screen time, because I wanted to see a lot more of that character in season 1, because he barely had any screen time in the first season. So I'm glad about that. Dude, this video is so much ranting. This is so much me going off on something. But yeah, this is a good show, and I think it's worth watching. I think you should give it a shot. You'll probably dig it. You'll definitely be interested in it. Unless you're turned off by the really over-the-top writing, the really over-the-top angstiness of it all. And it really is over-the-top in terms of the mature content, just for the sake of being angsty. Which is a downside, but in ways it works. So, you know, whatever. Have a great rest of your day.